Hey everyone, welcome to Sermon Break. We got Matt White with us today. Returning guest. I was saying that he used to be on all the time with us for the late night. And right, but every time you are, it's always been so much fun. No, we haven't. No, first time. Breaking new ground. We got some of our other team out today at a conference. So it's us. Here we are back. I don't know, but good to see all of you on here. Hey, Nicole. Hi, Wonder. Good to see you, Cagney. I missed you this weekend. Kimmy, I hope you're doing well. Hi, Martin. Good to see you. Can't hear Matt. We'll get it back up and running in a moment. Charlotte, I love grilled cheese. Apparently, Grace loved grilled cheese and E-Kids yesterday, too. Well, I hope you all had a really great Sunday while we're waiting. I'll get us started. It was such a great Sunday. I was back here in Mississauga, and Matt was with me too. And we had a great time. Honestly, this sermon, I say it all the time, but I really, really felt like it was for me. So I'm so excited to talk about it. Pastor has been doing such an amazing job just sharing his heart and everything that he's been learning. So tune your heart to truth was what it was called. And he brought up the guitar, and I love when he makes a big image like that. It's something that he's always been so great at doing. And I would just love to know, are you, Matt, like we always call you the science guy, but I want to know, like, are you musical too? You are musical. What can you play? You can play guitar? Actually? Why did I not have a guitar on here for you to show me? How long have you been playing guitar? Wow. Wow. Good for you. I did not know that. That's really awesome. Everybody else on here, do you guys play musical instruments? Are you musical? I When I was about 17, I bought a ukulele and I started playing the ukulele at for the little kids in front of me on my circle time, and that was it. Just like with the ones I was teaching, yeah. And I still have the ukulele. No, I wish I could remember, but just like the morning song, like the good morning song, and then one about all the zoo animals.
Can you hear me now? Is that Verizon? Is that what that is?
Oh, I think we got the all clear.
Wait for the chat to catch up. All
All
looks
right.
good.
It's looking good. I hope you can all hear Matt now.
So you play the ukulele?
I used to, but I used to try to learn the piano one time.
Okay.
Brendan
That's a
also
stringed
tried to
instrument.
teach me. Kind of.
It is.
Yeah.
That's how it makes
It
noise.
kind of works. Kind of works. Okay, what are you saying on here? Martin says my voice is my instrument. Carrie said I've played the violin. Carrie,
Ooh,
I feel
violin's
like
cool.
that would be really cool. I feel
Violin's
like you'd be
very
really
cool.
good at that.
Yeah.
Who else? Wonder said piano too.
Piano.
That's awesome. So lots of musical talent on the chat today.
Make a joyful noise.
Make a joyful noise. Okay. Well, I would love to also hear your sermon takeaways. I had so many. Put yours in the chat. A couple I'm just going to mention to get you all thinking is setting your heart as a decision, not a default. That was one of them. In every season of my life, there's a possibility that my heart goes out of tune. Get ready for what you're going to do when you're in tune, or a couple of my takeaways.
I like that one.
So put yours in the chat right now, and we're going to throw to this clip, and then we're going to talk about it. So check it out.
From the same heart come your greatest fears. From the same heart comes your greatest faith. Which one you move into depends on what you're tuned to. Why this helped me so much was because I struggle with a lot of condemnation at how much I changed from wanting to do God's will to not wanting to do God's will. From feeling motivated to preach the message to feeling like I just want somebody to preach to me. From feeling like I want to be more giving to feeling like nobody's taking care of me and I can have very big pity parties. When I realized that my heart is a liar that my heart is a harp. It's a stringed instrument. Then I realize it has to be tuned to truth.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really great. It has to be tuned to truth.
Yeah. What standard are you tuning to?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love what Akash has put in, that God won't lower his standards. I'm coming up, because
coming
there's this point where it's like you try and dip everything to your situation. God won't let you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
it's
wants
so good.
us to come up. I really liked this clip because I definitely feel like this is something, honestly, that I've struggled with. There always seems to be two sides, right? Like
Sure.
one part of your heart where you feel like it's pulling you to do one thing, and another part of your heart that's maybe pulling you to do the
Yep.
better thing and the right thing. And it always is such a fight. And we were talking about this earlier, how Pastor the last kind of few weeks has really been talking about
Yeah.
this fight. Who are you listening to? What are you doing? Do the new you.
Yeah.
All these different things that are always pulling for our attention. And we really have a choice, and we really have a decision. Really have a decision to make. So I love that it's just been in this theme.
It's like a daily decision.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of been the message the last 4 weeks, is that it's something you have to return to and just keep going back to, which is, hard to remember when you're on the other side, right? When you're in the disappointed side that doesn't want to get out of bed, it's hard to remember that you need to go back and tune up.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely is. But I love the scripture in Colossians 3:1. It says, "Since then you have been raised with Christ, set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God." And he kind of, Pastor, focused on that word, set your hearts, right? And Cagney, you said it too. It's a daily decision. You have to constantly tune your heart. But I love this idea. It's set your hearts on things above. It is, again, like Akash, what you said, going higher, thinking the way that God would be thinking about things. And I don't know, just really trying to live maybe above your feelings, above
Right.
your circumstances, above your disappointments. So I don't know. It was such a personal message.
Yeah.
I actually had a heart infection this past week. So to
So
come
timely.
back, so to come back to church and to hear a message about just the importance of your heart and tuning your heart, I have to think that Pastor was coming after me personally.
Yeah.
And making sure that no matter what, my heart is in tune with him. And I can tell you, when you are in a hospital bed, you definitely call out to God, and your heart definitely
Right.
adjusts. I don't think I'll ever be the same.
It's transformative.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. You have sometimes these things, even though they're disappointing and awful. And of course, I don't want anyone to ever be in the hospital. The only good thing is that you really can see God work,
Right.
and it really does give you a chance to reset your heart, your priorities, and really think, okay, God, what are you trying to teach me? And who do you want me to become now because this has happened to me?
Yeah. And I think so much of the struggle is carrying that, how you feel right now, forward
Yeah.
through the ups and the downs. And it's probably easier when it's down to remember that than when it's
Right.
up, but it's still like a decision that you got to make just from this point on, right?
Yeah.
Like the stacked experiences of how God has healed you, moved in your life, all that. You have to keep ways in front of you to remember that.
Or you'll just forget,
Or
because
you
it's
just go
not
back.
it's not in front
You
of you
start
anymore.
over, yeah.
Right. So that's one way that I've very practically been able to see God kind of tuning my heart. I'd love to hear, Matt, if you've ever had kind of a life experience or something where you feel like you've had to retune your heart to him too.
Yeah, I'm living one every day. In this season of my life, we're expecting our third child, and
I'm so excited.
yeah, it's gonna be great. And it's, as a parent, I used to, like, when Miriam was born, who's my middle child now, or will be my middle child. So I have a 6-year-old and 3-year-old, and when she was born, it was like, okay, how do I repeat what we did with Rachel? But then I'm realizing that we never raised her with a 3-year-old in the house. We never raised a 3-year-old with a 6-year-old in the house, and now we will never have a baby with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old in the house.
Right.
So it's like I'm trying to repeat, but God's like, no, this is a new thing. That's where I find myself. And so even just the stress and the pressure of everything that's going on, it never feels like there's enough time now before baby comes. And I think I've been on this journey just the last few weeks of the tuning is great language for it. It wasn't the language I was using before this message, but it's great language for it, because it's adjusting how I was interacting with God and how I was seeking him, because my routines were broken.
Yeah.
And so I'm having to recreate them. So like a big one for me is my morning routine is like completely shattered from what it used to be. And I'm just having to readjust and be okay with the time I do get with God. And you know what? It's always more than enough.
Yeah.
but I had just have to have that mindset
Yeah.
instead of beating myself down for not doing the sort of imaginary, what Akash said, like, whose standard are you tuning to? God's standard is meet with me. My standard is like, okay, I'm going to write down this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do these 5 studies. I'm going to do, and it's like all that served no one, but it was a barrier. So.
Right. And something we talked about earlier was just about how in different seasons it changes.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the way that you will be able to tune in with God, it might look different with
Yeah.
the two, but now you're going to find a new way to do it. And I think it's exciting. And I think it's, I don't know, when you can be intentional, I really do believe God will speak in deeper and greater ways.
I think, this is a conversation you have a lot with new believers.
Yeah.
And, anyone who's been through something, like an illness or serious life change, and they've had a moment where they reestablish the importance of Jesus in their life.
Yeah.
There's a certain energy you have for that when it's fresh and sort of like this is my point now. This is what I'm gonna do. But you can crest over that and things can get better. And then it becomes a lot harder to maintain that motivation to continue to seek him.
Yeah.
And that's where all these little practices come into play. And, it's praise him in the good times and the bad times. I remember last year, Pastor preached a few different messages all about the Israelites at the Red Sea.
Yes.
The one I remember the most is green light at the Red Sea. And it's sort of this question of, are you someone who's just going to praise God after he delivers you through the Red Sea on the other side? Or are you someone who can praise God before he delivers you?
Right.
And that's a really challenging thing to do, because sometimes what he's going to deliver you from or what you're praising for hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Totally different heart posture.
Right.
But it's a maturity thing, like you say.
Yeah.
It's gonna ebb and flow as you continue to walk with Christ.
Yeah. And the goal is to tune your heart before you go through this Red Sea.
Yeah.
And it's that's what we want, but it's so many times we don't even realize maybe that we're not in tune until we're walking all the way down. But my encouragement, I guess, to all of you is that even if you are feeling like you're walking through something dark, like God is still right there. Like you can tune your heart in an instant. You can tune your chords in an instant, just like Pastor just stopped even when he was midway through the song and changed the tuning a little bit. It can go up and down so quick.
When he sang verse 3, right at the end, it's the best part, because it's that message of, if I wander. I think a lot of times the way I used to feel about it was like, if I wander, I'm on my own. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
He goes with me. And it makes me think of Elijah in it's like 1 Kings 19 thereabouts, where he's on the run for his life.
Right.
And God demonstrates all the loud things. The mountain gets destroyed. There's a fire, and God's with him in a whisper. And so like that little, like, he's so close, even when you're far from where you should be, he's still so close to you. All he needs to do is whisper.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that. Okay. I have one more question for all of you. Okay. So we know that obviously the enemy can detune our heart. And once he can do that, it can change our life. It can actually destroy your life in a not in a good way. Yeah. So have you ever had kind of other voices that you found yourself distracted by? And how do you identify those voices and tune into God instead?
Are you asking me?
I'll ask you first. Yeah.
I think it's really difficult to always discern that with some sort of certainty. Where I land on that is assume that I'm in need of a tune-up. And like the way that Pastor illustrated with the guitarists, so like every time they play a song, you can watch them do it on stage. It might get distracting, so don't watch them too much. But they tune all the time, and especially in a long song, or if there's a break, they will tune in the middle of a song and just continuously be in tune. And there's even like this process of tuning where they check if they're in tune.
Yeah.
And so like there's a feedback mechanism, but they assume that they're not.
Yeah.
And I think that's a healthy way to live. And to I think God would be really happy with me if I were to assume that I'm not in tune and continue to go back to him.
Yeah.
And I think we have so many resources. We have his word, we have people around us, we have prayer, we have all of the music, all of these great things to kind of, what is it? It's the heart, right?
Right.
And opening up, Martin put that line in there about, we're not the musician, we're the instrument.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I maintaining the instrument in a way that it's like playable, or did I let it, did I not take care of it?
Yeah.
So that's where I land there.
No, I think that's really good. I definitely feel like I've let sometimes other voices, and maybe not God, change my perspective, right? Somebody can say something to me and it gets me down all day. But what I'm learning and what I'm trying to do is just replace those thoughts and understand that those voices aren't God's voice. Yeah. And again, going back, and because sometimes you can't just say, don't think about the fact that someone was someone hurt you, right? It's like, don't think about the pink elephants. You're going to think about the pink elephants. You actually have to replace the thought.
Right.
So no, God says that I'm already affirmed. God says I'm worthy. God says I'm good and I'm enough. Even if another voice has said something different, but it's really just almost ignoring that and replacing it with a better sound.
Pastor talked about growth last week.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the things that you hold in tension with growth, because you can't just say stuff that comes from other sources, or where I think our other sources aren't from him, because you don't really get to decide how he speaks to you.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain way that he is going to speak to you. So it's like, how do I continue to do the thing that I've never done before, grow, but then not stray from his purpose?
Right.
And I think it is about having that relationship where you gain that discernment.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, because sometimes there's a healthy place where all the criticism, all the trolls are fuel.
All the trolls. Yeah.
Right. Like there's a healthy place where that's true, because you're so rooted in your identity.
Yeah.
But the rooting in the identity, and Pastor talked about the fence and the root structure last week. And it's like the rooting in the identity happens as like a foundational thing that informs everything else.
Yeah.
So
you need those strong roots.
You can't, like, to expect to do it otherwise. If you saw Holly talk about it on Run It Back, Walk It Out the first time,
Yeah.
she talked about how the size of the tree on above the ground is a reflection of the size of the roots underneath.
Right.
So you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely need both.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have an action step for you, but I thought it'd be better if Pastor just gave it direct. So check out this clip.
Tune up. Yeah, because I could come down to the level of what I feel, or I could come up to the level of what God says. And I hear two voices speaking today. And one is trying to make me a victim, and one is trying to make me a victor. And I want to know, whose report do you believe? We shall believe.
Whose report shall you believe? Whose voice are you listening to? So the action step is tune up.
Yep.
Tune yourself up to God. Tune your heart to him, not up to cultural truth, not up to what people say, but what God says about you. And just going along with this, my word for the year is promise. I've shared that with you multiple times, and I feel like I've really been on this journey of understanding God as a promise keeper. And for me, tuning my heart is now tuning myself to God's promises, not maybe what the situation looks like right in front of me. So one of God's promises is for peace. Right. So no matter what's outside of me, I can still have peace. Another one of his promises, something that I've learned, is that God actually promises guidance. And if you think about when the Israelites, when they were being led, they were following this like cloud, right? And okay, God isn't promising you a cloud, unfortunately, but you can take it in this way that God will find a way to guide you. That promise still stands true. It might not show up exactly the way the Israelites did, but people will come into your life. You'll find something in his word that speaks to you, and that will be your guidance. So he promises you guidance. He promises that he's going to allow you to tune yourself to him. Yeah. And if that can be our center, if we can allow God's promises to be what fills us rather than maybe fear or worry or anxiety, I truly believe we'll be able to tune up to him.
Yeah. And he's good on his promises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He cannot lie.
Yeah, that's really good.
He cannot lie. So that's our action step for you. I really hope that this message encouraged you. If you have other ways that you're tuning up to, put them in the chat right now, because we all need each other, and we all need each other to help get a little tuned up all week long.
That's a resource.
We have lots of exciting things coming up.
Yeah. What's the big one next weekend?
The big one next weekend is anniversary 18.
Church is an adult, I guess.
It's officially an adult. 18 years. I can't believe it. And we're celebrating with baptisms, okay? So
what better way?
What better way?
Yeah.
Let everybody know that if they have not been baptized yet, this is their time. It's going to be beautiful. Such a monumental occasion. And I just love the way that that's how our church celebrates.
Yeah, you can send them over to connectioncenter.ca, and they can click on the link to sign up to be baptized, fill out the info, and get them connected. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So spread the word, invite somebody out to church, and we will be back with you next week. So have a great week, everybody. Tune up. Tune up.